Welcome to Assassin's Creed vs. History. In Assassin's Creed, you can wear and upgrade sets from a variety of different styles of armor, and if you paid the big bucks, you gain access to the Berserker armor. But who were the Berserkers? On today's video, we will be looking into the feared Berserkers of old and why they earned their reputation. So let's get to it.
My love for you is like a truck berserker. Would you like some making fuck berserker?
So who were the Berserkers? The popular TV show Vikings depicted the Berserker as a lone hitman. Games portray them to be axe-wielding barbarians, and history has portrayed Berserkers to have been lone Viking warriors who donned nothing but a bearskin, took magic mushrooms to induce a state of psychedelic rage in order to block out pain, and destroyed anyone foolish enough to stand in the way of their axe. Though not entirely wrong, I feel these are slight exaggerations. Firstly, you need to understand that the word berserker is an amalgamation of two words, and there are two interpretations of the origin of the word. The first interpretation is bjorn, meaning bear, and zerker, meaning coat. So berserker literally translates to bear coat, the animal skin that one type of berserker wore. The second interpretation comes from the 13th century and a historian named Snorri Sturluson, who interpreted it to mean bear shirt. Taken from the Icelandic word of ber, the Norwegian word bar, or the Old English bear, meaning naked or bare, and zerker to mean shirt. This interpretation holds a lot of truth, as the berserkers did not wear armor into battle, and merely donned the skins of animals. This was not limited to just the bear as the first interpretation suggests, but in fact 3 factions of berserkers, which completely contradicts the lone savage stories. Firstly, there were the berserkers, who wore bear coats and were linked to the worship of Thor or Odin, who were both known to take the appearance of a bear whilst visiting the land of men, Midgard. Then there were the Ulfhednar, who wore wolf coats for Odin and his 2 wolves, Geri and Freki. And finally, the Svinfælking, who wore boar coats for Freyr and his golden boar Gillenbursti. So now we know the 3 factions, but what did it mean to Berserker Gang, or go berserk? Some believe it was to hamask, or change form. This can be interpreted as to enter a bloodlust or state of wild fury that stopped them from feeling pain. And this can also be known as hamrama, or shapestrong, which the ability to actually transform. An example of hamrama comes from the saga of King Hrolf Kraki. One tale within tells the story of Bordvar Bjarki, a berserker who is able to shapeshift into a bear, then use this ability to fight for the king. Men saw that a great bear went before King Hrolf's men, keeping always near the king. He slew more men with his 4 paws than any 5 of the king's champions. I feel this berserker covered in a bearskin killing men is accurate, and that is merely a bardic exaggeration of transformation to make the tale more exciting for the victor. But how did the berserkers go berserk? Some believe that the berserkers took a magic mushroom called fly agaric, because in 1784, a Christian priest named Odman came to this conclusion because he read that Siberian shamans did the same when healing. The problem with this is that the mushroom would leave any warrior in a state that would not be able to fight, similar to how Ragnar was shown to react to the drugs in the show Vikings, from the priestess he befriended for a time until she withheld the drugs. Also, these mushrooms were never mentioned during the Viking Age. The first mention was in 1784, and the time of the Vikings ended in 1066. This isn't to say that there wasn't some narcotics involved, as in 1977, a berserker grave was discovered to have stinking nightshade in it. Perhaps this was one berserker who liked a little recreational downtime, but another archaeological dig found a woman's grave from around 980 AD was found to include clothing, jewelry, and a pouch of henbane seeds. Henbane, otherwise known as stinking nightshade. It was believed that this woman was a priestess or a shaman. This plant, which originated in the Mediterranean but spread northwards to Scandinavia, was well known in the Middle Ages to have psychoactive effects. It was even added to medieval beers, so much so that authorities banned this practice in 1507. Symptoms of stinking henbane tea include a desire to strip, increased aggression, unpredictability, a flushed face, and hyperactivity. These side effects sound very familiar to the traits of the Berserker of being wild, chewing their shields, making battle cries, and howling like animals that are told in the sagas. Berserkers were essentially elite soldiers and were used by King Harald Hardrada, which means Hard Ruler, also known as Harald Fairhair, the first king of all Norway, as shock troops to broaden his sphere of influence, placing his most feared and wild warriors at the front to strike fear into enemies. Imagine standing across the battlefield from berserkers who have no armor, are shouting, roaring, howling, and biting their shields, then knowing the tales of the ferocity and violent rage that these men fight with. It would be enough to put the fear of Odin into any man's heart. One such story of King Harold's berserkers comes from the Battle of Stamford Bridge in United Kingdom, where King Harold was ultimately beaten and shot in the throat with an arrow, but according to the tales, not before the English forces of Harold Godwinson were held up by a single berserker on a bridge who slayed 40 men before being struck from below with a spear by a soldier in a barrel sailing under the bridge. Other Scandinavian kings used berserkers as part of their army, and sometimes ranked them as equivalent to a royal bodyguard. It may be that some of these warriors only adopted the organization of rituals of berserk, or used the name as a deterrent to enemies or claim of their ferocity. So, whilst you will not find a flurry of dedicated stories about the berserkers, it is safe to say that they have went down in history as being one of the most brutal and violent warriors to have ever existed, and you will find references to them in many sagas and within the Eddas, should you wish to learn more on the subject. One such Viking who is linked to being a berserker was Ivar the Boneless, the very real and very dangerous Viking conqueror. I hope you found this video interesting, and if so, join the conversation below. Please like and subscribe, it'll help me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next one. And until then, Takk Farvel.